And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. In today's package, we take a look at issues bordering on insecurity and underdevelopment in the Niger Delta region. And we kickstart with a report on the people's call on the federal government to begin to pay 13% derivation funds directly to oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta. Our second report is an update on the ongoing forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, which was instituted by President Muhammadu Buhari in October 2019 to revamp the Alien Intervention Agency. Next in our lineup is a report on the new security architecture developed by the Professor Ben AYADE administration to combat violent crimes in Cross River State. And still staying with Cross River State, in our last report we bring you the people's reaction to the cancellation of the annual CALABAR Carnival in the year 2020. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back after this timeout. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. The federal government has been urged to immediately commence the legal process of depriving state governors the responsibility to control and manage the 13% oil derivation funds accruing to oil-producing states in the collective interest of oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta. The demand was made by stakeholders at the recent fourth meeting of the National Council on Niger Delta in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Correspondent Chika Bodozie completes the story.
Utilization of the statutory 13% oil derivation funds by state governments in the Niger Delta was one of the disturbing issues considered by participants at the recent fourth meeting of the National Council on Niger Delta. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Ita Enang, had blamed persistent poverty and insecurity in oil-producing communities on misappropriation of 13% derivation funds.
The relocation of the oil companies to the oil-producing communities is in the hand of the governors, because it is the governors that have collected the derivation money, which was intended to use in developing the oil-producing communities. And if you do not develop the oil-producing communities, you put the oil companies in danger of coming to those communities, because there is tension and there will be attack and they are insecure. Therefore, the only thing that the governors can do and we can do to get the oil companies to relocate is for the governors to apply the derivation money for the development of the oil-producing communities.
13% oil derivation principle was introduced in 2000 by the government of President Olusegun Obasanjo to mitigate negative impacts of hydrocarbon pollution on the environment and well-being of oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta. It was also conceived to address crumbling infrastructure in the largely backward communities that have continued to wallow in deprivation. Their pitiable condition was blamed on the skewed development policies of state governments in the Niger Delta.
You can see the remote part, the creeks. That's where the funds are coming from, not from the city. And this development is not going that. For example, in River State, communities in the down areas, we are looking for how they can be having access road, good road to use, schools and a good water hospital to be there. But it's not that all is being circled down in the city Port Harcourt. If you go to Bayelsa, everything is centered in what? In Yenagoa. But the funding questions are coming from the creeks, where the communities where the oil is a bit derived from. Even not in total, part of these funds should be made available for communities. Is a call, a clarion call, so that the communities will not feel that yes, they have a fair share of this 13%. But total abstinence is, I think, is not good, and that is one of the things that causes agitation.
The probe into the application of oil derivation funds coincides with renewed demands for an upward review of the current 13% benchmark by state governors in the Niger Delta. For reasons adduced to mismanagement of funds meant to ameliorate the sufferings of oil-producing communities, the federal government has been advised not to accede to such demands.
In the South-South region, for instance, studies confirm that in the past, between 2000 and 2018, the South-South states have received from federal allocation a total of 9.5 trillion for the region's development. In addition, that in the past 3 years, from 2020, 19, 18, oil companies have given a total of 295 billion to the Niger Delta, approximately 100 billion a year. We have not seen the impact.
They will use the money to campaign about the money for politics. How would the community develop when money that's meant for them is not reaching them? This money belongs to the community. It's not for the state. It's not part of the allocation. The money just passed through the state government to the oil producing communities. We ought to have got this oil producing community development commission at the local level.
When in 2000, the President Obasanjo administration introduced the 13% derivation principle, it was born out of the need for rapid development of oil-producing communities. However, the management and control of such funds were vested in state governments as provided in Section 162 of the 1999 Constitution. Based on this constitutional provision, those pushing for direct transfer of 13% derivation funds to oil-producing communities will definitely have some legal issues to contend with in their campaign for social justice.
If we overcome the constitutional impediment as today are, we will be able to have the money that are meant for the oil-producing communities go to them directly. And that is what is being addressed in the proposed petroleum industry bill.
It is the considered opinion of Niger Deltans agitating for direct payment of 13% derivation funds to oil-producing communities that the challenge of developing their region has more to do with poor resource governance than inadequate allocations from the Federation account.
Inside the Niger Delta.
The interim administrator of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Mr. EFFIONG AKWA, says under his watch, deliberate efforts will be made to redeem the image of the intervention agency. AKWA gave the assurance while speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the recent fourth meeting of the National Council on Niger Delta in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
I met with the directors. I have told them we had to sit there, right there on the spot. We look at the vision of redeeming the image of the Niger Delta. How do you redeem the image? By changing the narratives. The status quo has to be, there should be another trajectory for developing the Niger Delta.
The NDDC was established through an Act of Parliament in 2000 to develop the Niger Delta and reduce tension in the region. The Commission, however, failed to deliver on its mandate due to maladministration and endemic corruption in the system. This prompted President Muhammadu Buhari to order a forensic audit of its activities from its inception in 2001 to August 2019. The new interim administrator of the NDDC is optimistic that the ongoing forensic audit will enthrone sanity in the system.
We are seeing people rushing to go and complete projects which people were paid mobilization. Some of them collected mobilization. Those that did shabby jobs in time past, they have gone back to those sites. On their own, they are working, and you are seeing a whole lot of improvement. Outrightly, at the end of the day, those that are known to have diverted the money, they have no option than to refund the money for the development of the Niger Delta.
In compliance with provisions of Part 3 of the Act establishing the NDDC, AKWA assured Niger Deltans that the Commission will begin to work more closely with state governments and other stakeholders to improve on its service delivery to impoverished communities in the region.
There should be synergy. We should sit down with all the governors of the region, the 9 states that make up the Niger Delta region. We should look at their project development models. We should look at what is imperative. We should look at what is important to them. We should look at their budget. And then we look at that of NDDC, place it side by side with NDDC, and then work together as a team. If we work together, we will achieve together, and the result will be that the people of Niger Delta will be better for it.
Mr. AKWA was appointed interim administrator of the NDDC on December 12, 2020, following the sack of its previous interim management committee by President Muhammadu Buhari. He is expected to supervise the ongoing forensic audit of the NDDC and hand over the baton of leadership to a properly constituted board for the commission.
Inside the Niger Delta.
NDDC, established in the year 2000 to help develop Nigeria's Niger Delta region. After 2 decades, what is their scorecard?
The amount of money which the federal government is religiously allocating to NDDC, we would like to see the results on the ground.
They have been doing a lot in the last 19 years, but if they were doing quality projects, I'm sure that we would have seen so much on the ground.
What is the state of the NDDC project in your community? Tell us about it and we will report it. Send us an email to insidethenigerdelta@gmail.com or call us on 080-920-76444. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Cross River State Governor Professor Ben AYADE has vowed that henceforth there will be no hiding place for criminal elements terrorizing the state. Governor AYADE made the declaration recently in Calabar during an official unveiling of Operation Akugha, an interagency security outfit set up to counter violent crimes in the state. Correspondent Nelson Ajay has details.
Governor AYADE, while unveiling Operation Akugha, an interagency security outfit established to counter violent crimes, said hard times await all criminals operating in Cross River State.
As part of the regulations which I had signed into law under the Homeland Security, it is responsibility of government, the police, and the military structure under this Operation Akugha to demolish the property of every single house that is being occupied by an armed robber, a kidnapper, or any bandit. If the property belongs to a landlord, the landlord should be held accountable. That is the provision of the law. That house will be demolished.
In recent years, Cross River State has witnessed increasing cases of armed robbery, kidnapping, killings, and other forms of violent crimes. During the recent NSAS protests hijacked by criminals element nationwide, the state became a flashpoint of wanton destruction of public and private properties. While Cross River State was still licking its wounds from the tragedy of an unanticipated attack, daredevil criminals recently murdered an assistant commissioner of police, Egbe Idum, who had just arrived his country home in Calabar from his place of primary assignment in Borno State.
The instruction is very clear from Abuja. You must deal decisively with any form of criminality. You must deal decisively with any form of banditry, cultism, kidnapping of any form. That as far as you're resident in Cross River State, today is the end of that criminality. Any single citizen who comes under threat by a kidnapper, the nearest neighbor just needs to notify a particular number, which will be distributed and will be announced on radio as soon as this launch is done. As soon as you call the number, both the power bikes, the army vehicles, the police vehicles, the navy vehicles, the air force vehicles, the civil defense vehicles, all of them in their numbers will cordon that area and conduct a massive search until those culprits are arrested. Today, if you are not licensed to carry a gun, once you are found with a gun in your possession, you will pay the price.
Operation Akugha, comprising of a joint military team, has been equipped with sophisticated operational tools to combat crime effectively in Cross River State. The move to protect lives and properties in Cross River State has been hailed by Cross Riverians as a welcome development.
The governor has done very well by providing new vehicles to meet these challenges. For some time, the mobility of security operatives were in question, but today they have been, the mobility has improved.
On the overall, I think the security outfits, the AKWA is a good development, but funding and then coordination is key. There's need for the government to show total commitment to the goal of security, and that will mean funding as in the people who would be working within that security outfits to ensure that our Cross River State return to that safe haven for everyone and not criminal.
Prior to this time, Cross River State was widely reputed as Nigeria's tourism hub and adjudged the most peaceful state in the country. However, a dramatic turn in the economic fortunes of the state came in 2008 with the ceding of most of its lucrative oil wells in the Bakassi Peninsula to the Republic of Cameroon under the Green Tree Agreement. The state had been completely stripped of its oil-bearing status when, in July 2012 court judgment, it lost 76 oil wells to neighboring Akwa Ibom State. With limited funds at government's disposal to provide public utilities and grow local economy, poverty and crime have been on the increase in the state.
People who engage in crime are people who basically just feel they need to survive by all means. And since they don't have what we call the rights as an incentive or the right jobs to actually survive, they end up in crime.
Beyond the establishment of a tactical team to combat soaring crime rates, the government has the responsibility to improve the material conditions of the people to sustain the campaign against lawlessness in Cross River State.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Heritage Bank. Service, performance, respect, integrity, innovation, tenacity, excellence. Heritage Bank, your timeless wealth partner. Azikel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Azikel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability, and infrastructure development.
Residents of Calabar, the Cross River State capital, have described the cancellation of this year's edition of the annual Calabar Festival as most unfortunate. In this report, they told correspondent Tekena Mefori that they can only look forward to a bleak Yuletide without the usual glamour associated with the carnival.
Last month, the Cross River State House of Assembly adopted a resolution calling on the state government to cancel this year's edition of the Calabar Carnival, citing the destruction and looting of the Calabar International Conference Center at Tinapa during the nationwide End SARS protest that was hijacked by hoodlums. The lawmakers added that with the COVID-19 pandemic still very much around, it was no longer realistic to host the colorful event this year. In the light of recent developments in Cross River State where insecurity is on the rise, the cancellation of this year's Calabar Carnival appears justifiable. It is, however, not a welcome development for intending participants at the annual event.
I felt very bad because it's that season, that festive season, the carnival brings out people like the international carnival. You meet people, other countries, their culture and the rest. So I'm not really happy that the carnival is not going to hold this year, but all the same, we still have the Christmas village around and some other activities to keep us busy during the Xmas period.
Some of us had the idea that it was not going to come up, coupled with the fact that we had coronavirus. We had hashtag NSAS protest that resulted to a lot of looting by hoodlums. The state is trying to recover from all this pandemic, so to say. But all we have to say is just give God the glory that this year has come. Like a visitor, it must also leave.
We all have seen what's going on. The whole pandemic has shifted some of our plans. I think the governor himself is not even happy about it. And so I think since it has happened this way, since the whole pandemic has made everything be this way, let's just let it be and let's focus for a better tomorrow. I think next year is going to be better than this year.
The Calabar Carnival, tagged Africa's biggest street party, was introduced in 2004 by former Governor Donald Duke as part of his vision to make Cross River State the melting pot of tourism and hospitality on the African continent. The hosting of the Calabar Carnival in the last 15 years has impacted positively on the local economy, as it has generated substantial income for business operators and petty traders in Cross River State. Unfortunately, hopes have been dashed this year, no thanks to the rising tide of violent crimes in the state, as well as the threat of the coronavirus disease.
Like other years, we used to have a lot of people around. We have massive turnout and you get to sell your stuff. But this year has been very poor. We have less number of persons around because of the curfew, like 10 o'clock curfew. So business has been very poor.
We cannot compare sales of this year to last year. Last year was good. Last year was perfect. But we, the vendors of this place, are really suffering. And we are begging the government of the Cross River State to help us lift the ban of curfew so that we can sell. We are begging them with the name of God.
Last week, the Cross River State government ordered an indefinite closure of nightclubs to prevent the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, which has entered its second wave globally. And with the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew still in place, Calabar residents and indeed all fun seekers within and outside Cross River State would have to come to terms with the fact that it is an unusual youth-tie season.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, that's the size of our package on the program for today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. We'll leave you today with a special Christmas carol. This one has Niger Delta written all over it. It was recorded in Warri about 3 years ago, and it's from the Ebony Band in Warri, Delta State. My name is Mamode Akugha. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.
This one na Christmas song, the day when they born Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That is why I say, everybody, let's celebrate. My name is Yakwari. Hey! That's what I mean. That is why I am talking to my people in Delta State. Urobo, Ija, Ishakiri, Isoko, Abeg, all of now. Let's come together and celebrate Christmas. Here she go, bell, here she go, all the way. Oh, what fun there is to rise on one horse of a snake. Here she go, bell, here she go, all the way. Oh, what fun there is to rise on one horse of a snake. She took this low, one of the pussy. She drank what we bring. I love it everywhere. Bell up the ring. Oh, no, first down high. It was a fun to ride and sing a praise of the light. Here she go, bell, here she go, all the way. Oh, what fun there is to rise on one horse of a snake. Here she go, bell, here she go, all the way. Oh, what fun there is to rise on one horse of a snake. Together and celebrate Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Let's come together now. Hey. Not an ego, he Bethlehem. So the Holy Bible so. A Mary boy child, Jesus Christ was born on Grace Masideo. Akugha, the agency, a king was born today. Amani we need forevermore because of Grace Masideo. Worship and worship their flood by light. They see a bright you shine.